The inaugural season of McLaren Trophy America concludes this weekend with a pair of races at the world-famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The McLaren brand has a rich history at Indy, including 3 Indianapolis 500 wins and a U.S. Grand Prix triumph. But this weekend, a new chapter is set to be written at the historic Brickyard. Hello, my name is Ryan Marine. Tom Baker will be along shortly. It is a gorgeous autumnal day here in the Midwestern United States. 66 degrees on the Fahrenheit scale at last check. No clouds in the sky and a light breeze coming out of the east. Track temperatures climbing close to triple digits. Not there yet, but it is a very comfortable day out at the racetrack, and the scene is set for a pivotal race in terms of the inaugural championship across all 3 classes in McLaren Trophy America. One of the drivers that's in the midst of a championship battle is Andrew Davis. His co-driver John Dempsey qualified in 7th. Let's hear from Andrew now with Amanda Busick.
Hey Ryan, yeah, a lot of sights and sounds down here amongst this McLaren Trophy grid as we close out the season here in Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's been quite a first year for McLaren here in our paddock, and we think about these championships while wrapping up. One of those is being chased by this guy right now, and Andrew, you guys have come on so strong of late. 3 wins of the last 4 races. What needs to go your way here today?
Well, we need to kind of keep that same momentum going. You know, the RWE team's been working so hard, and we've really enjoyed this McLaren Trophy Series. John Dempsey is just amazing as far as the progress he's made this year with the experience level he has. So we just got to keep to the game here, which is try and win. You know, it's worked for the last several races. It's obviously a tough group. You know, Jesse and Alex are amazing competitors as well, along with everybody else. So it's not an easy task, but that's what we're focused with here.
Can your experience here be the edge for you guys this weekend?
Well, I hope so. You know, at this stage, I've got experience everywhere, and Indy's been very kind to me. This is the Indianapolis, 500 location. This is historic, and it means a lot to me. I've stood on top of that podium multiple times in other series, so, I do know my way around here, so I hope it helps.
A couple of the other championships, just to update you guys down here, you do have James Sofronas in the AM class starting on pole. I was able to catch up with James here this morning as we get ready for this race, and he was telling me that this year has been a season of learning this format so he can sell this McLaren Trophy Series to other clients. Already has 5 cars geared up ready for next season, and right behind him on the grid is Colin Harrison, who I was talking to as well, has just absolutely loved the year that he's having in the McLaren. Knows that he's chasing James Sofronas as these McLarens get ready to leave this grid here for race number 1 at IMS.
It's a really good championship battle, really in all 3 classes, which we'll get to in just a moment. But I'd like to welcome Tom in now. First of all, welcome to Indianapolis. What do you think of the place?
I'm loving it so far. This is your hometown as well, so this is it's great to be here. What a venue, incredible. So really excited, looking forward to it.
Yeah, it is a special place for motorsports. Any motorsport enthusiast will love coming here, and it is that famous yard of bricks that serves as the start-finish line at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Those bricks installed in 1910. The track dates back 1 year before that to 1909, and they've been running the 500-mile race here every year since 1911. The grid starting to come to life, and let's talk some championship situations here, because across the 3 classes, really compelling stuff. In the pro class, this one maybe is the most straightforward because Casey Dennis and James Lee with a 3.5-point lead over Cooper Broll and Tommy Pintos, which means basically Broll and Pintos have to finish ahead today to keep the championship alive to tomorrow. 2 cars in the class, 3-point swing between first and second. The math's pretty simple on that one.
It is pretty straightforward. Yeah, there's a 3-point difference, and as long as they both finish the race, which I'm sure they will, it's a pretty clear cut. But the 74 is starting further back in the grid, so that's going to be certainly one to watch as they come through and hopefully make it a very interesting race.
Yeah, that's a story to talk about for sure. The qualifying issues for one of the championship contenders, Dennis and Lee. That car came to a stop during one of the qualifying sessions, so they'll be at the back in both races, which has them on the back foot, especially when the car they're chasing is starting up towards the front. In Pro-Am, this is the championship leading car, the 43, Hayner and Lazar. It's also a 3.5-point lead in that class, effectively down to just 2 cars once this race begins that are still in contention for the title. Davis, who we heard from a moment ago, and Dempsey sit second in that super tight points battle. In the AM class, James Sofronas has an 11.5-point edge, and he starts up front. It's 15 points to win a race, so if he can extend that gap in the championship over Colin Harrison to 15 points or more, the championship could go James Sofronas' way by the end of race number 1, but we still have a long way to go to get that done. Cars on track, rolling out for the first of 2 formation laps. These are the pole sitters in the respective classes, and we'll set the grid for you coming up next. 14 cars in total set to take the green flag in these 2 races, 50 minutes in duration over the course of this weekend. Let's look at how the cars will line up for the first of the 2 races this weekend. And on the overall pole, it is also your AM class pole sitter, James Sofronas, trying to lock down that title. Cooper Brohl, great qualifying effort to take his pro class pole position, but also second overall. Colin Harrison back in the 3rd starting position. He'll have Tanner Harvey for company, the Pro-Am class pole sitter, in the 2nd row. Alexandra Hayner was on the podium here at Indy last month in an IMSA GT4 race, and she'll have Steven Cerbero alongside, rolling off 5th and 6th, respectively, overall. John Dempsey in the midst of that title chase will have some work to do from 7th on the grid. Dennis Tillman starting in 8th alongside. Then it's Brandon Kreutz for Flying Lizard Motorsports and Neil Langberg for RP Motorsports in 9th and 10th. Bob Stockert back once again, set to start on the inside of the 6th row with Casey Dennis. A lot of work to do in the Lightning McLaren, starting in 12th. Chris Likewise and newcomer Michael Steeves rounding out the starting grid of 14 cars. So much, Tom, still at stake here this afternoon and really over the course of the weekend with the 2 races yet to be run. Where is your eye as we approach the green flag of the first race?
Where to start, really? It's all over the place. We've got Casey Dennis, as we mentioned earlier. He's going to be coming through for the pro title. It's actually 5.5 point difference there, rather than 3.5. Yeah, I mean, we've got battles for 3rd, we've got battles for the lead in the class. We've also got the teams championship as well to look at as well, but
yes,
we'll talk about that in a bit.
Sounds like a plan. Let's take a quick peek, I think, here at the way that the points stack up. Ignore what you see on the bottom, but certainly the top was correct there with that Dennis and Lee car that is going for the title in the pro class, fighting with Brohl and Pintos. 3.5 points again is the difference coming in. Tight as you like it. Let's talk about this racetrack. Just under 2.5 miles in length on the road course at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 2.439 miles, 14 turns. In the ovals, you'll see, the oval corners, you see banking of 9 degrees, 12 minutes. We don't get on the full oval track here, of course, really just in the front straightaway and a little bit of the south short chute. So a little bit of banking to contend with, but not a whole lot. However, 2 super long straightaways around this place, which is a great opportunity for these McLarens to stretch their legs.
Absolutely. I've been talking to a few of the drivers, and they're loving driving these cars here. You know, we've got the push-to-pass element as well, which gives them that little extra boost. Yeah, everyone is very much enjoying this circuit and having to deal with the different grip levels and things like that. So it is a challenge racing here.
Here we go. Field starting to come into alignment. This is that dip back into the infield on the south end of the speedway, and then through this quick complex in this crucial final corner up onto the long front straightaway at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. In the white car, James Sofronas going for an AM Class championship, a chance potentially to clinch it here today. Cooper Brohl alongside, also in the title fight, but in the pro class. Then it's the AM entry of Harrison, the Pro-Am pole sitter of Harvey lining up on the outside of row number 2. Hayner and Cerbero in row 3 as the green flag waves. And we are racing for the first time in McLaren Trophy America at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Everyone on the push to pass, lights flashing on the long run down into turn number 1. The fight is still on. Sofronas looks like he's going to hang on to the spot. An aggressive move to the inside as well, further back up and over the curbing for an orange car. Everyone cleanly through, though, turn number 1, which is step number 1. Not always an easy thing to do here at this racetrack.
No, it was a good start from Cooper Brohl there in second. He did get in front of James, but just couldn't quite. Oh, we've got a spin, and that's Alex Hayner.
Yeah,
that is a shame.
Fighting there with Dempsey, I think, prior to the spin. Dempsey's trying to make up for a qualifying effort that had him a little further back than he would have liked to have been. Looks like everyone's been able to continue on, though, even with the spin. Sofronas does hang on to the top spot, leads in class, leads overall, with Cooper Brohl giving chase in the Pied Parker sponsored car.
There's a little bit of a squirrely exit for Cooper on the exit of that turn, but he's held it. And yeah, I think James has got a bit of advantages there now. Sort of settling down, but I'm sure Cooper will reel him in. Off we go. But Casey Dennis there on the screen is making up places left, right and centre, passing teammate John Dempsey there, so no resistance given there. But he needs to come through to really challenge Cooper.
Exactly right. This is crucial for them with the issue that befell them in qualifying, able to put that behind them as quickly as possible and focus on charging through in the races. But right now, the trouble is the car they're fighting with for the title sits second overall. So a lot of ground still to be made up here for the 74 car, but it was a really good opening lap, already up to 6th in the overall order after starting in the second to last row of the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. He's done very well. He's up behind Steve Sbarro, who also qualified very well. He's in a battle for 3rd overall in the AM class. There's 1.5 points between Steve and Jeff Cook and Dennis Tierman. So again, another really close battle that we'll have to keep an eye on. That'll go down to second race to see who finishes in what place there. But there we go, the move up the inside. But
that was a
John fancying a go as well.
Yeah, I don't know that Dempsey really wanted to make it 3 wide when his teammate was also involved in that situation, so he bailed to the inside of the curbing. Let's look at this again. Keep an eye on the 10 and the 43, center of the shot. Dempsey fighting with Hayner, and Hayner does go for the spin here, and this incident is under review according to race control. A look from the other angle now. It's a really tight part of the racetrack, difficult to make it side by side, no matter what type of car you're talking about. And as is customary in that corner, you enter side by side, it's unlikely both cars come out on the other side. And indeed, a penalty has been issued to Dempsey. That's a drive-through penalty. This is a really long pit lane at Indianapolis. Meanwhile, Sofronas, from the lead of the race, has spun down in turn 1.
Yeah, that's dropped him down to 6th overall, which, yeah, we might have done that. And he's fallen behind his nearest rival, Colin.
That is a big deal in the AM Championship. The gap is a sizable one. Big advantage for Sofronas. Let's see if we can learn what happened. Oh, yes, we can. Harrison with the contact there.
That's Colin Brohl, Cooper Brohl, actually, rather than Colin Harrison. So that is unfortunate. So well, this could help Casey Dennis in the 74 in his charge through if there is blame to be apportioned there for that. It's an unfortunate touch under braking there, but that could turn the championship around again.
It could indeed. Incident is under review for race control. We'll pass that judgment on as soon as we have it. But yeah, this is great for Dennis, who has now been gifted a couple of positions without having to fight for them. That helps him in his recovery up through this field.
Yeah, he's up to 4th now at the moment. He's got Colin Harrison, guest entry Tanner Harvey, and then the target of Cooper Brohl.
As we expected, unfortunately, it is a penalty for the 919 of Cooper Brohl. So the overall leader of the race will have to do what Dempsey is doing right now and make that slow trudge down the pit lane. And it is, as I mentioned, a really long pit lane. The front straightaway alone at IMS is 5/8 of a mile, and it's further than that when you factor in the entryway into the pit lane. So this is very punitive for a couple of cars that are mixed up in a championship battle right now.
We've got a little fight going on here between Steve Sbarro and Dennis Tierman, who's just gone past him and going into turn 1. As I was saying earlier, that's a battle for 3rd place in the AM class, but they're also battling in the Papaya Cup championship as well. So there's a lot of pride at stake here.
Certainly so. Papaya Cup debuted midway through the season, but a chance with that special award and special championship within a championship to highlight strong performances of drivers that are just getting started in their motorsports careers.
Yeah, it's to reward the slightly older driver, or the driver perhaps doesn't have the huge amount of experience, and just give them something to fight for, especially when they're partnered in a Pro-Am partnership with a pro driver where they won't necessarily get the recognition for the efforts that they're putting in. So it's our way of recognising the abilities of those drivers.
Well, Dennis, wasting no time, just made another pass to get up to third and overall. Kari's chasing his Broll, but as we know, that car will have to serve a drive-through penalty. And Broll, effectively, he and Pentos need to be ahead of the 74 at the end of this race to have any hope of the championship staying alive going into the finale tomorrow.
Exactly, yeah. They need to score those 3 points to close to make it 2.5 points. But as you say, with the penalty, they also have a 10-second penalty to serve in the pit stop for their successes last time out for their double win at Road America. Whereas the 74 car, they only have a 5-second penalty. So again, they've got that to factor into their strategic equation.
That's a good point that you make. Success ballasts, or success penalties rather, handed out on the basis of the finishing position in the most recent race. And if you start to rack up a significant win streak, then the success penalty compounds. Interesting, though, that we had a weather-affected race at Road America, didn't we? So that's why we're talking about half points in some instances. But even if you won that race, the success penalty doesn't get cut in half, even if the points do.
No, exactly, yeah. We're not that kind.
And here it is. Really tough for Broll here, especially when you consider the pass he was trying to make on James Sofronas. That was not a car in his class.
No, and I think it was just a misunderstanding, and unfortunate, isn't it? He wasn't alongside. I think it was just a difference in braking areas, and there was just a light bit of contact, which unfortunately tapped James into the spin. I don't think it was malicious, but it is what it is, and so he's had to serve the drive-through because of it. So we'll have to see where they come out and how that shakes up the order.
Yeah, to give some of an example, let's see, what Dempsey actually fell all the way back to 14th when he served his penalty. So I suspect, given the relative track position, that we'll see the penalized car pop out just ahead of Dempsey. Meanwhile, it's Dennis now putting the pressure on the number 24 of Harvey. This is for the lead overall. Pro-Am leader, blue number 24, being chased by the Pro Class leader, Casey Dennis, who, if this race finishes as it runs right now, would clinch a title with one race to spare.
It would. We've actually got the 3 leaders of each class in one shot, which is nice to see. But Tan has done a great job. I think he really impressed last time out at Road America and qualified on pole for this racing class. They've got a new livery on the car for this weekend, which is very striking, I think. He's also got his fan club here. Mum's here, cousin, girlfriend, all supporting him along and doing a wonderful job of bringing that family spirit to McLaren Trophy America.
It's been fun all year long watching family members get to enjoy all that this is about, some of the best tracks in North America. Great hospitality, as you'd expect from a brand like McLaren. And then the racing on top of it has been captivating as well. There's our race vision powered by AWS Circuit Performance, giving you an idea of which cars are strongest and where. 74 car of Dennis with the best Sector 2, but it's actually John Dempsey, who unfortunately with that penalty is all the way back 14th and last overall, who has the best sector times in the other 2 sectors at this stage.
Yeah, Cooper Braun is now back out on having served his drive-through. He is now over 53 seconds behind Casey Dennis, so he has got a mountain to climb to get back to where he needs to be for the championship.
Might need some help with the safety car intervention to bunch the field up. Historically, don't get a ton of those at this track. There are a lot of places where even if you have an issue, you'll spin off into some grass or something like that. Meanwhile, Dennis carving to the inside of Harvey, who left the door open. Dennis needed no second invitation. That is for the overall lead of the race. So from third to last on the starting grid to the lead of the race in just about 10 minutes for Casey Dennis.
Not a bad day's work, is it? And he's set a number of fastest laps on his way to doing that as well. So how much of a lead can he stretch out before we come into the pit stop window?
That is a great way to potentially stamp your mark on a championship season. Dennis has been great all year long. The partnership with James Lee started off the season with back-to-back wins, has finished up at the front more often than not. Got several overall wins on the resume as well over the course of the season, and maybe another one coming their way in 38 minutes time.
Yeah, they certainly started out very strong. I think Cooper Broll and Tommy Pintos have also come good. Middle of the season, I think they took a little bit longer to get up to speed. Cooper is obviously relatively new to racing and still learning his craft. Tommy's a good safe pair of hands to be driving with him, but just to take the time to mesh together has taken a little bit longer, but they came good at VIR. That was the first signs there, and Tommy put it on pole, and they've been very strong ever since. So they've really taken the fight to Casey and James, which is great to see.
Overall wins in both races in Road America as well the last time out. It was a bit of a shame the first one came with weather, having an impact on it, but they backed it right up, coming out and winning the next time out as well.
Absolutely. And pretty decisively.
Correct.
Tommy putting in some great laps.
Yeah, it was a great performance, as you'd expect from a former McLaren Trophy champion, albeit in the European Series. Here's Dempsey, who's now caught the pack. He's gone to the inside there and put a move on likewise for another spot. Langberg as well. Ooh, there is Langberg maybe in some strife. He went off to the right-hand side of the screen and appears to be off the pace slightly.
Oh, that is a shame. Neil qualified really well for this
did.
race. He was a good I think 2 seconds faster in qualifying than he had set in free practice, so he was very happy with that lap. But has there been a little bit of contact there on the rear?
Could have been. Looks like some body work maybe.
Bits of debris coming
Exactly. Could have something to do with it. I think we heard something even before we saw it, didn't we? But Langberg continues on for the moment, albeit at the back of the field. Mentioned Sector 2 earlier, going the way of Casey Dennis. By a pretty hefty margin, 0.3 of a second clear of James Sofronas for the best Sector 2 time. Then it's Harrison Hayner and Dempsey. M-Class leader right here is Harrison, who's third on that list, and this is big for him. The way that Sofronas was spun around opened the door then for Colin to come and take the lead in the class, and he's trying to keep the title fight alive. He's got a big hill to climb with a double-digit deficit.
Yeah, and he's got James right behind him there. The gap is not very big, well, 1.5 seconds, and James is doing a good job of clawing back that time difference. So how long will it be before we see a move for the lead in the AM class?
The last lap, Harrison actually was the quicker of the two by about 0.4 of a second, but prior to that it had been Sofronas closing in slightly. Harrison's gotten around Harvey now. Or has he? Nope, that was timing and scoring, throwing me for a loop, apologies.
So these two are both driving solo AMs, so whereas with some of the other cars they have 2 drivers they need to switch over when they do their pit stop. These guys come in, do their pit stop, but they don't have to get out. They can carry on, which I guess does have an advantage in that they know the circuit, they know what the grip's like, they also know their car, they know what's left in the tyres, and they know how much push to pass they've got left to use. Whereas when you're a pro or another AM stepping into the car, you're not quite sure where that level is at. So.
And therefore, that advantage is neutralized somewhat by the single driver lineups having a longer pit stop by regulation, 5 extra seconds spent in the pit lane. It's a good way of evening it out, but still giving drivers the option of, if they want to drive the full 50 minutes or split the car either with another AM or with their coach. In any event, it's proven to be a popular, successful format to this point, as the leaders now have caught the tail end of the pack, and we'll be doing some lapping here with Langberg just in front of Dennis. And a tough, tight part of the racetrack. This is what we talked about earlier. Tough to go side by side here through this chicane. The first two make it through cleanly. For Harrison, though, that had to have been a heart-stopping moment, going to the outside, offline, through the marbles, in a really tricky part of the track in terms of trying to coexist side by side.
That is a tough decision to have to make, isn't it? Do you hold back or do you go for it? And I think I think he might have gone for it that one.
Yeah, he did. He's feeling the pressure because Sofronas then put in a good lap on the last lap and was starting to close in again. So I think he might have felt like he had to go, but it did hold him up because here comes James Sofronas. This is massive. This is for the lead of the race in the class, and then it wouldn't quite be enough to clinch today, but it would basically put Sofronas in a position where if he starts tomorrow, the championship would be his, and he is absolutely heaping the pressure on Harrison now.
He absolutely is. He was sat in the parent seats there, wasn't he, watching that move going, this is exactly what I need, and now he's really hounding Colin for that lead position.
See the headlights flashing. That means both drivers are on the push to pass. It's a not insubstantial boost of power. First of its kind in GT-style racing, debuting this year with this Evo version of the Artura Trophy car. Sofronas to the outside now, side by side for the lead, and he'll have the inside line coming up in just a moment. He is through. How about that? James Sofronas recovering from being tipped around in turn one to take the lead back away.
Brilliant move there. Nice to see, and he was really on edge. You could see him working the steering wheel coming into the first turn there as he was making that move, so it was really good to see.
That is a 6-point swing in the championship. Before that, Harrison would have effectively cut the deficit to 8.5 points, but now that they've swapped positions, it's up to 14.5. Problems here for the 5 machine. That's Tillman, who's had a moment. He was running 5th, make that 4th in class and 7th overall at the time of the problem. And also 2nd in Papaya Cup within the AM class. Able to continue on though, just wonder how much ground he lost. Looks like Sorbero was able to get through. Those two were fighting for the final step of the podium in the class and for Papaya Cup honors as well. So Sofronas now putting a lap on the newcomer, Michael Steves. Good to have some new drivers sampling McLaren Trophy late in the season, maybe with an eye on next year.
Exactly, a bit of an exploratory, see how it goes. They're obviously running with the Rafa Racing Club, and that's the car that Rafa Martinez raced at COTA very successfully in the Pro-Am class with John Lancaster, where they won. So, yeah, they know the car well. The team, Chris Ward running it, is doing a good job. So, yeah, they're in good hands.
No doubt about it. Exciting news, speaking of next year. The calendar has been unveiled, and a fun edition where we'll see McLaren Trophy on the support bill, along
Road
with
Atlanta.
Formula One.
Oh, Miami.
Well, yeah, that's where I was going with it. Road Atlanta's a big deal, too. We can talk about that in a moment, but to be in Miami, the Miami International Autodrome with Formula One next year.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting. The team have been working on that for a long time, so it's great to be able to finally announce it. But yeah, we will be one of the support events at the race in May next year, starting at Sonoma again, but then on to Miami, which is going to be fantastic. And I'm sure we're going to try and work as hard as we can with our friends at McLaren Racing and see what we can get as a crossover with the activity that they're up to as well. So exciting times.
Without a doubt. Here is the first pit stop. We're right inside that window here. So Cooper Broll comes in, and we'll hand over to Tommy Pintos, the Spaniard. Cooper's had good pace. Unfortunate miscue there. That little bit of contact, just a slight misjudgment, I think. You're quite right with James Sofronas, and it's cost them dearly, but Pintos is super quick. I believe that's Carter Fartuck helping with the driver change. Excellent driver in his own right and part of the Skip Barber stable of driver coaches. Carter was just driving a NASCAR truck, actually, at the Charlotte Roval in recent weeks. Does a lot of coaching on the road racing side in NASCAR these days, but also very busy helping out here in this paddock and helping with that driver exchange there. Also see Tillman in the pit lane. Cook will take over that car. You can see, though, part of it is the regulation of how long you have to stay stationary, but part of it also is, again, the length of this pit lane. Brohl has been in the pits for over 2 minutes. That is over 30 seconds more than a lap around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. So there is a risk with pitting early that you could be trapped a lap down if a safety car were to come out.
That's the game you've got to play, though, isn't it? You've got to do the pit stops. It's in the regulations, and you have to hand over to your driver. So, yeah, it's we haven't had that issue before, so I think we're in safe territory, but it's always a risk.
Yep, exactly right. Fingers crossed that that won't be a problem, but it is worth keeping that in mind. In the meantime, overall leader is in the pits, and what a stint from Casey Dennis. That might be the stint of the season, to go from the back to the front in basically 10 minutes.
Exactly, that could be the moment, the defining moment of their championship. Look back and go, actually, that's when we did it. That's what sealed the deal. But we've still got 28 minutes of the race to go, and obviously tomorrow's race as well. So it is not a done deal yet.
Casey and James, they've been racing together in various series and on the same team for quite a few years. I had a story told to me recently that the person telling me the story was seated right behind them on an airplane on a flight back from one of the races, and the two were just chatting and laughing and having a great time the whole flight.
Excellent, that's what we like to hear.
Yeah, great friends off the racetrack and great partners on the track. Now maybe closing in on an inaugural McLaren Trophy America Championship.
So Tanner Harvey there, still doing a great job leading the race. They are a guest entry, which is one to bear in mind. So whilst they are leading the race and leading the Pro-Am class, from a points point of view, they are essentially invisible. So the points for the win, as it stands, would go to Alex Hayner, who's second in class, but she would get the 15 points for that. With John Dempsey, he is currently third, so he would get the second point. So whilst it's a 3.5 point gap at the moment, if they finish like that, it'll go up to 6.5 points.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up. If you are an entry that debuts in the final 2 weekends of the season, and you're classified as a guest entry and ineligible to score points, invisible for points purposes. The reason for that is it prevents teams from adding additional entries in the final couple weeks of the season just to stack the deck and try and clinch a title by means that aren't exactly what the rules makers envisioned. So we see that across the board in SRO American Championships. It does make doing the points tabulations that much more complicated, though. There's the extra pitfall that you have the potential of falling into.
The invisible entries, yeah. But here we go, James Sofronas coming in to do his pit stop now.
Yeah, it's been a good year for James, as you would expect. So much experience that he brings to the table, and of course this GMG Racing team, that's the business as well. He races what he sells and services. And you heard from Amanda at the beginning that he's using this to showcase McLaren Trophy to potential customers out there.
Yeah, it's great to have James in the championship and a team of the caliber of GMG Racing. That, you know, they've done so much in American motorsport, so it's great to have them involved in the championship. And as Amanda alluded to, or said outright, rather than alluding to, they're planning on running multiple cars next year. And I know James has got plans for doing other things as well. So yeah, it's just great to see that they've come involved, really embraced the championship, and want to see it grow and grow with it, which is fantastic.
He's a four-time SRO America champion back in the World Challenge days in GTS and GTS Sprint X. Brings all of that to this program. Such a passionate racer, one of the winningest drivers as well in what is now the SRO America paddock. Now you see the mechanics, it's not a frantic pit stop by any stretch. All you're allowed to do outside of the driver changes is check tire pressure and maybe adjust that tire pressure. So that's what they're doing there. Meanwhile, James Lee carving his way up through the field after taking control. Didn't take him long to get up to speed, did it?
No, he's absolutely on it. There was a little bit of a squeeze there trying going past Chris Lightwise, but yeah, no, clean and through, and off he goes, disappearing into the distance.
Just love watching these cars at work. They seem to be kind of in their natural environment here at Indy. And of course, McLaren with such rich history at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 3 Indy 500 wins back in the 70s. Mark Donohue and a Penske entered McLaren in 1972, and then Johnny Rutherford won a pair in 74 and 76 for effectively the factory team. U.S. Grand Prix for Lewis Hamilton in a McLaren Mercedes. That was in 2007. And then the eponymous Bruce McLaren. He's an inductee into the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Hall of Fame back in 1991.
It's certainly been a happy hunting ground for us, and you know, as the manufacturer of the only Triple Crown of Indianapolis, Le Mans, and the Monaco Grand Prix, it's a big part of our history.
It is. A chance to go for all 3 in the same year, potentially. Not too much further down the line with the advent of the new prototype.
Absolutely. 2027, the Hypercar program will be making its debut in the World Endurance Championship, which again, really exciting project to be part of that for McLaren, and hopefully be racing alongside our LMGT3s as well.
Yeah, it is a racing brand through and through. You can't separate McLaren from motorsports, can you? It's just part of the DNA.
Absolutely, yeah. It's what we're born and bred to do, and we happen to make some road cars as well there. But it's very much the racing is a big part of our history.
A little bit of damage, it looks like, on the front of John Dempsey's car. Presumably that's for the contact with Hayner early in the going. Left front bodywork kind of popped up. I think that right, or yeah, it is the left front. Popped up in the air slightly. That won't help him down the long straightaways, whether it's the pit straight or Holman Boulevard as it's known. The straightaway through the middle of the track.
Lock up there heading in. Yeah, there is a bit of a clunk on there. There's also got a loose bit of bodywork, the air scoop on the rear of the car there as well. So let's hope it all stays together and he doesn't have to come into the pits to have that sorted out, because that would have a big impact on where he's at in the race.
Expect to see him likely in the pits next time around. This has actually worked out all right for him from the standpoint of, yeah, he had the penalty, but then as he caught a lot of the traffic, it was during the pit windows, so some of that traffic went away, and it's let him just put his head down and turn in some pretty good laps. He's doing low 29s. That compares favorably to just about everyone else on the track, with the exception of Cook and Pintos. So that is one way to try and make up lost ground, but he's got some work to do before he turns it over to Davis to take it home.
Tommy Pintos has been setting some good laps, as you'd expect, as he tries to come through. He's been a little bit quicker than James Lee, who's also doing some fairly rapid times. Although Jeff Cook is now in the car for Dark Horse Racing, the number 5, and he has set the fastest lap of the race on a 27.2. So he's a man on a mission, as we've got Alex Hayner in the pits now.
Potentially a big development in the AM class, a short pit stop for James Sofronas in car 14, and it's a 17 1/3 second post-race time penalty. You're given a 2-second grace period. Good to see you too, Alexandra. 2 second, it's not quite a grace period, is it? But if you come in at 2 seconds or fewer under the minimum, then it's a time penalty multiplied by the amount of time you're under. If you go over the 2 seconds below the minimum, then it gets much more punitive from there. But that's effectively how we end up on the 17.3 second post-race time penalty, and that is for the AM class leader.
So Tanner Harvey's still out, so he should be pitting soon. 20 minutes left to run. He's in the guest entry, but as a pro-am.
Yeah, but the guest entries, my understanding is they can run 40 minutes.
Yeah, so I think the window for them is between,
well,
10 minutes still left to go is the end of the window, isn't it?
Well, yes, so yeah, maximum driving time 40 minutes for guest entries in race number 1, and 20 minutes in race 2. That's what I have written down. So we're going to go with that. Unless you could tell me.
No, you're on the money there.
otherwise.
That's what we need to.
Yeah, but that is a good point that they are subject to slightly different rules from the rest. For race 1, for instance, in the Pro class, the maximum stint length, stint time is 30 minutes. In the AM class, same story. And in Pro Am, it is a maximum of 20 minutes for the Pro driver, which means you should see the AM getting out basically 30 minutes or thereabouts into the race, which is what we're seeing here.
Well, we've got John Dempsey in the pit there to hand over. But yeah, normally you would you run to your time, but you would want to get your pro in as soon as you possibly can. So we normally see a flood of cars coming in just on that 30-minute mark to hand over to the pro, which for obvious reasons is they're quicker and they can get in and mix it up. So
exactly. Yeah, so Dempsey, this is the first lap where he could come in, I think. And he might have been able to fudge it a little bit, but anyway, for the sake of argument, this is really the first time it was clear cut that they could come in, make that changeover in Pro-Am, put the pro in, and not run afoul of the drive time rules. And Harvey will come in here at this opportunity as well.
So the race will now be to see where they come out relative to Jesse Lazare, who's now in the 43, having taken over from Alexandra Hayner. Decisive for the title, could be.
It could be. There's another penalty that is worth passing along. Don't think it's likely to matter right now, but that could change with the safety car. But it is the 74, the RWE car, that also has a roughly 5-second time penalty for the same reason, coming in under the minimum. They must have been half a second under, and that's where the penalty comes from.
Well, at the moment, that still puts them in safe territory relative to Tommy Pintos, but Tommy's now up to 8th.
And the risk now is, if this race should, for whatever reason, in behind a safety car, the field would be totally compressed, and then in all likelihood that would invert those two positions. So there is a little jeopardy there in a race that has been controlled really from the 10-minute mark on, as far as the pro class goes, by the 74. Casey Dennis set the table, and James Lee trying to finish it off.
So here we go. Oh, a lock up there for James coming into turn 1 there. We've got the 2 Pro-Am cars exiting pit lane. So Tanner Harvey is now out of the car. We've got Patrick Liddy in, man with the best hair in the paddock, I'm fairly certain. He is now, so he slots into 2nd place, just in front of James Sofronas now. So that should be safe territory for them. Jesse Lazare is still listed as 5th. So
yeah, I'm curious to see how that battle plays out. Jesse, I mentioned he and Alexander Hayner, they raced in a IMSA race, GT4 race here back in September, and finished on the podium in what was Alexandra's first ever IMSA GT4 race. And Jesse in particular was really quick late in the going. See what he can do.
It was a very good weekend for McLaren as well, because we had a 1-2 with the Ibiza Farm team taking their was it their 3rd win of the year actually. So
it was their second. They went on to win again last weekend. Yep, with Michael Cooper, who will be racing a McLaren this weekend in GT4 America with Tony Gaples.
Yeah, another good weekend last weekend where we. What did you say? Won in the Pilot Challenge, but we also won in the GT World Challenge over in Europe at Barcelona, the endurance race. Run the finale there, and our first win in the Endurance Cup since 2016. So it was a good weekend,
I should say, and a chance for more glory here this weekend. There's the Archangel entered McLaren 720 racing in the 8-hour. That's going to be fun to watch, of course, in the Pro-Am class. Super competitive class as ever, but even more so now with so many teams coming from overseas to join the fun for the weekend. James Sofronas is still pushing hard. Maybe it's because he knows he has that penalty looming. The next car in class, Harrison, is within the 17 seconds, so that would change hands as they run. So Sofronas, with any luck, will be able to keep the gap high enough over Cook to prevent dropping down to third. In the meantime, another penalty, and this is for motorsport in action, is it not? The 43?
It is. It's all happening at the moment. Colin Harrison has just overtaken James Sofronas for the lead of Am there. The car behind we've got is the 43 of Jesse Lazaro.
I think that was Steve's that he was putting a lap
Oh,
on,
Steve,
actually.
sorry.
Same
Sorry.
white
Ignore
livery.
that. There we go. They need to do something with the colours of that car.
It would help us, no question
yes.
about it. You might know someone who could enforce such a rule.
We'll see what we can do, yeah.
You'd have my thanks.
Yeah.
Someone's off
That's
in the
Colin.
motorcycle chicane.
Yeah, he's overcooked it going in there and dropped back.
And that is not insignificant because he was, let's see, 8 seconds behind James Sofronas. We know that there's a 17-second penalty coming to James. See how much time this costs Colin. And what did he drop back to? It's 14 seconds now.
Yeah, he dropped 7 seconds there, so that kind of puts him in the danger zone, doesn't it?
Certainly
He's only got
does.
3 seconds to his advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you're saying, there's a pit stop penalty there for the 43 as well, but I don't think that's going to cause them too much trouble because Andrew Davison is now in the 10 car. He is quite a way back there before they get into that that area of thinking, can we overcome with the time penalty? So.
Yes, and with a lot of traffic to work through as well from other classes. But again, all of that goes out the window if these gaps were to be neutralized by a safety car before the end of the race. It's been a really good season from the Motorsport in Action group, hasn't it? With Jesse and Alexandra. Potent pairing. Really didn't go their way, did it, at the season opener at Sonoma. But ever since then, they have not finished worse than second in a race.
No, you're right. And Kota, the second round, where we actually had the makeup race from Sonoma, something clicked there. You know, they came alive, and that was when the victory started coming, and it really set their championship fight up. So it was a good start for them there.
Here's a question you might have an answer to. Is the car that they're racing this weekend, is it the same chassis that ran in the IMSA weekend?
Yes.
It is?
Yep.
So that's how easy it is to switch between trophy trim and GT4 trim.
Exactly, yeah. Fundamentally, the principle behind the car was it was a GT4 car with an upgrade pack to take it to trophy specification, with the idea that teams could buy the car and then be able to swap between the two. As it was, the majority of teams brought the car in trophy specification and run it in our championships. But there was always that ability to do it.
Yeah, and then that opens up the chance for drivers and teams to use this as a launching pad, a stepping stone, and then you already have the inventory, and without too much investment and too much work, you can take the same car and go race in Pirelli GT4 America, for instance.
Exactly.
Yeah, really clever. I had heard that that was the case at Indy last month, but I'd never been able to get it confirmed, so I'm glad we could get to the bottom of that one. That's one mystery solved here today. Might solve a few more before it's all said and done, some of these championships. Check in on those numbers. And wow, Patrick Liddy, by the way, is lighting up timing and scoring. Just did that car's best lap the last lap and has set personal best sectors 1 and 2. Set the overall best lap now as he comes across the Art of Bricks at a 1:26.871. No one else on track is running better than the mid-127s. Well, that's now changed. Jesse Lazar just about matched him, running in the 4th spot. Importantly, Patrick Liddy doesn't have to pass James Lee. Remember, there's the penalty coming for Lee. So that would help vault this car to the overall win. It doesn't really matter from a points perspective or a class perspective, but there's always some bragging rights when it comes to taking an overall win rather than merely a class victory.
Absolutely. There's pride at stake, isn't there, which is very important. But, yeah, looking at class, James has got a 50. He's 15 seconds behind the leader, but Colin is 29. So there's 14 seconds there.
Yeah.
He still needs to find another 3 seconds, doesn't he? needs another lap. Seven and a half seconds off the lead. Just looking at the teams championship, so the battle is between GMG Racing and RWE Motorsport. And GMG have got a very healthy lead, 21 points to RWE Motorsport. But the win here for James would certainly help in that cause. But they have 2 cars in this championship now. GMG started with 2 cars, but they've gone down to 1 now just for James. So with Andrew Davis in the sister car, he's currently running 3rd in class, but there will be 2nd place points because of the ghost car that is Patrick Liddy. You know, that could move them a little bit closer, but it's still going to fall, I think, in GMG's favour, just because they've got such an advantage there.
Yeah, that's the way it looks at the moment. All right, so let's see here. We'll have to do a little bit of calculating before it's all said and done, but the important thing is in the pro class, it's pretty straightforward with 74 leading. Pintos is doing his best, but that drive-through penalty, we've seen just how difficult that is to overcome. That car all the way down, still in 7th, despite Tommy's best efforts to drag it up through the field. Trouble for him is the car he needs to catch is leading the race overall. Patrick Liddy, though, continues to be metronomic, chipping away at the lead for the overall here. Under 7 seconds now is the difference between Lee and Liddy. A little bit of traffic up the road using the push to pass as it is available to him. Might as well. That extra boost down Holman Boulevard. To see where the rest of the battles might be. Andrew Davis, what kind of ground can he make up? He's turning in some really quick laps as well. That car 3rd in Pro-Am, but in a position to score 2nd place points. And with Jesse Lazar and Alexander Hader winning in the class, that would bump the advantage to 6.5 points then, looking ahead to race 2.
Gives them a comfortable margin there,
yes.
But they still need to race, and they still need to finish the 2nd race to seal that title.
Right. Yeah. Hey, 6 points to finish 5th, so that wouldn't be enough even if Lazar and Hader did not score a point at all, which would be unlikely. Another look at Race Vision powered by AWS. We have seen a few changes here. Sector 1 now belongs to the 919. Tommy Pintos pouring in some quick sector times. Sector 2. Saw that actually interesting that a bunch of different cars hold those best sector times.
Just looking at the Papaya Cup, we've got Dennis Tierman is leading that currently. They are 6th overall in the car being driven by Jeff Cook. Jeff doesn't qualify for that, but Dennis Tierman does. Steve Sparrow in 2nd in the AM class, and then Bob Stockard is running 3rd, which is good to see. We also run it in the Pro-Am category, so we've got Caden O'Connell is doing a very good job of piloting the car that Brendan Prince started with. So Brendan is looking good for a victory in Pro-Am Cup.
How about this gaggle of traffic here? Patrick Liddy closing in as James Lee is dealing with the traffic. And again, Lee has a 5-second time penalty coming. So now with the gap under 5 seconds, 1st to 2nd, the overall lead of the race, while it hasn't changed on the racetrack, effectively has swapped hands when you factor in the penalty. Change, by the way, for that final Papaya Cup podium spot in the AM class. Kevin Madsen just overtook Bob Stockard on the last lap. And that has now put Kevin and Neil Langberg into the third and final Papaya Cup podium spot in M.
Had to happen as soon as I said it, didn't it?
Yeah, it was about to happen when you started. I was looking at the time gap, and it was only a matter of time, and didn't take long for Kevin to reel him in. Kevin's been so fast all year long. That's not a surprise if you've followed his career at all.
Yeah, he's a very accomplished AM racer, Kevin. He's done a lot, but enjoys his racing, and has done a great job with Neil this year. It's been lovely to see the two of them working together.
A glimpse of Harrison there, who's still within the margin to steal the win away from James Sofronas as they run when that time penalty of 17 seconds is factored in for James. Yeah, now absolutely no question that the overall lead will swap, because it's down to 3.5 seconds now. Lee back to Liddy. Patrick's been flying since he got in this car. Those that are in championship battles are probably pretty pleased that this is a guest entry and they don't have to worry about them as far as points tabulations are concerned.
Exactly.
Hope to see more of them, though, down the road. The Forte team. Patrick, a former Petit Le Mans class winner a couple years back. Brings a nice pedigree and obviously good pace to the team, and he's closed in another 0.6 of a second. He might make this pass on the road before it's all said and done. Was somebody off track? Yes.
Steve Sabaro, that car, the 49, sorry.
Yep, kicking up some dust there. Steve able to gather it back up, shown as 4th at the time in the AM class.
Well, this could be a change in the Papaya Cup then, because Kevin Madsen is now right up
That's
behind
the car
him.
right behind him, yeah.
So, and as we were just saying, Kevin is no slouch when it comes to these things. So that could be an interesting little battle for, that would be 2nd place in the Papaya Cup in the AM class.
Effectively 2 laps to go, and right now Madsen has the target in the crosshairs as Liddy goes to the inside of Kanan O'Connell. 2 cars not fighting for position here at this stage. O'Connell shown 9th overall, 4th in Pro-Am. It's a family with some Indianapolis history. Father Johnny had an Indy 500 start a couple of decades ago. More than that, actually. Sorry, Johnny. I won't do the math and tell you just how many years it's been, but it's been a little while. But great to see the next generation out on track as well. So here we go, battle hotting up for the overall lead of the race. We mentioned Patrick might want to make the pass before the race is over. We know the position is going to swap after the race with the time penalty that is looming, but it could be done before then even, potentially. A little bit of traffic, though, for Liddy to deal with. Doesn't take too long. Looked like he was going to make that move to the inside, but Guzman wasn't willing to give up that track position just yet. I think the problem for Kevin Madsen, yes, he had caught Sorbero, but I don't know that they were on the same lap, so that might not have been a change of position there. Nevertheless, final lap of the penultimate race of the 2025 season, inaugural season for McLaren Trophy. Harrison again trying to stay within 17 seconds of Sofronas, and to this point he's been able to do it. If anything, he's actually gotten closer. That'll be enough for the AM class lead to swap hands. It was an 11.5 point deficit for Harrison coming in. It would be down to just 8.5 points with 1 race to go. Certainly not an easy task. We'll see if there are enough cars in the M class, but for him to overhaul James anyway. But I think James would still be in pretty good position, certainly if he starts the race, to take home the inaugural M class title. In the meantime, James Lee with just a couple of corners to go, looking to clinch a championship and to do so with a race win. Here comes 74, It is the Lightning McLaren up onto the front straightaway into the yard of bricks. Casey Dennis and James Lee take victory on the road, although they'll be moved to second overall after the race, but it will still be a class win in the pro class, and with that, it should be a championship for that pairing. Patrick Liddy and Tanner Harvey take the overall victory at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. James Sofronas crosses the line first in the AM class, and now we wait on Harrison. As long as he is within 17 seconds with the penalty, that will swap the win in the AM class around. There's the checkered flag, and on adjusted time, Colin Harrison takes the win and takes the championship battle into the final day of the season. Wow. Well, no shortage of things to sift through from the first race of the weekend. Have another race still to go to close out the inaugural season of McLaren Trophy. But how about it? Harvey and Liddy. And yeah, Patrick was super quick in his stint, but Harvey set the table. Just his debut, second race weekend in the championship, and was right there. Ran the one race at Road America, didn't start race number 2, and that first race was truncated by weather, don't forget. So a first chance really to get the full experience, and took full advantage of it. A chance to kiss the bricks at the world famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Always special, no matter the category. For Harrison, yeah, the odds are not great to steal a championship away, but he does everything in his power by taking his third win of the season and second in a row. He's only finished off the podium in the AM class once all season. That's when he failed to see the checkered flag in race 1 at VIR. But how about this car, the season that they've had? James Lee and Casey Dennis winning once again. This actually gets them off of their first winless streak of the season. Make it their second. They had 2 third-place finishes in races 2 and 3 at Circuit of the Americas. They were second and third in the 2 races at Road America, and that let the championship come a little bit closer, didn't it? 3.5 points coming in, but by taking the victory today, it extends the advantage to 6.5 points, and there just aren't enough cars in the class, and there's not a big enough swing between first and second. Only 3 points effectively that are left to be made up, and so pending post-race tech, of course, that is effectively the championship done and dusted for Casey and for James to cap off what has been a tremendous season. Looked like the door might have been cracked open, though, for that to change hands with Tommy Pintos and Cooper Brohl after qualifying, which saw the 74 car starting at the back in both races, but it did not take Casey Dennis long at all to get to the front of the field. 10 minutes, in fact, 10.5 minutes.
What'd you say, champ?
From the back to the front. And now those 2 good friends can celebrate a win at Indianapolis and a championship, which allows them then to go into the final race of the season with all the pressure off of their shoulders.
And we looked at the data, and we would have been
really special to win here, but given what was at stake for them, all the more special here today. Well, provisionally, the Pro Class winners should be the Pro Class champions, Amanda. Let's hear from Casey and James now.
Ryan, we are with the overall champions here in the inaugural 2025 season of McLaren Trophy right here in SRO America. And you ran over here to greet your teammate, Casey. And I was talking to you off camera of the challenges faced here today in qualifying, just how this makes it so much more fun. The reflection of this season. Why was this the perfect story written today?
Oh, I mean, I ran over here, left my pregnant wife behind just so I could come say congratulations to my buddy here. I mean, it just made it so much harder at the end and made it so much sweeter when we actually got it, all the way to the finish line. James did a great job just bringing it home, fending off Patrick Liddy, who's, one of the all-time greats. I mean, all the people from McLaren, our crew, everybody who got that car onto this grid with like 10 minutes to spare, unbelievable. Just watching everybody work so hard, couldn't be more grateful for everybody involved. So.
And James, as you look over the season as well, to go ahead and get the overall championship, a race early before we even close it out, the partnership between you and Casey, why did it work so well?
Well, like I've said previously in different interviews, I think one reason it works really well is because we were friends before racing. So we kind of already had that bond and that synergy, and racing just is what we love, and that's why.
You're looking at your 2025 champions here in McLaren Trophy in the pro category as we head over to our race winners in their second weekend together here in Indianapolis, and that includes Tanner. You're going to be able to kiss those bricks. What's that emotion like for you?
I think this is one of the best feelings I've felt in a long time. Last weekend was a big bummer, and we came back. We shot for first place. The Team Forte and everyone put it together. Patrick and I put it together, and we made it happen. So, and thank you. Thank everyone. I want to thank my dad, too, for making this possible.
I was looking for him down here. Where's Dad? Because he was so excited about, hey, Dad, congratulations, race winner over here. And Patrick, you just heard what James was saying about your effort back there and holding them accountable here today, but them wrapping up the championship. What fits so well with the McLaren here at IMS?
Just have to give it all up to Forte and Tanner. Tanner drove incredibly. He's really new to the sport, and he had a great level head. He's fast. I was really impressed with how he drove. But Pete, our engineer, Shane, the team owner of Forte, all the guys did a great job. They worked late into the night to get the car running again today, so just really happy for them. Love the McLaren Artura. It's our second race in it, but so easy to drive, such a fun series. Hope to be back.
Congratulations to those guys. I'm going to head over to our AM winners here today. And Colin, I talked to you right before this race, and you knew the task that was at hand. James Sofronas was ahead of you, but you guys eliminated that here today. Why does this keep this championship alive for you?
Well, obviously I needed the points first off, and then, just getting to show my performance. I mean, it feels good, especially at the end of the year, to come away with, multiple wins in a row. I've known I've had the performance for a while, so to get to do it at Indy is awesome.
One championship down here today, guys. Two more to see later this weekend.
And that title is just barely alive. I think it's an 8.5-point deficit, and I think the biggest swing, assuming both drivers start tomorrow, would be 9 points. So he could be done, but Colin needs some help. However, he did what he needed to do today, taking the victory in the class. These are the class winners, Harvey and Liddy. Heard from them a moment ago, and then Lee and Dennis in the pro class. Here's a look at the provisional race results. Great drive by Harvey and Liddy. They take the overall win after the time penalty demotes Dennis and Lee down to second, but still good enough for them to take their win in their class. Hayner and Lazar, another really strong run for them. Another podium here at IMS. Harrison, Sofronas, Tiemann, and Cook back in sixth. Then it's Brohl and Pinto, Dempsey, Davis, Kreutz, and O'Connell, Sorbero rounding out the top 10. And congratulations to Jeff Cook, Papaya Cup winner within the AM class here today. Look at the Brickyard Crossing golf course, several holes of which are actually located inside the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's a perfect day to be taking in some golf or taking in some racing, and you can do both at the Brickyard Crossing. Here's a look at the points coming out of this race, and with a gap that is too big to overcome in one remaining race, Dennis and Lee are your provisional champions in 2025 in the pro class. Meanwhile, in the Pro-Am class, it's still pretty tight. Hayner and Lazar now by 6.5 points over Davis and Dempsey. So it's not done and dusted yet, but it is down to those two. Kreutz and O'Connell too far back to make a run at the top two in the season's final race. AM class as well, still narrowly up for grabs. 8.5 points James Sofronas, Colin Harrison. Well, might have been for James, if not for the costly penalty, as well as the incident where he was tipped around at the beginning of the race. That much more complicated for him, but still sets up for some drama in the final race of the year. Now, just about an hour ago, the field of 14 rolled out onto the famous Brickyard for the start of the second to last race of the season. Alexandra Hayner goes for a spin early in the race. Dempsey penalized for that contact. Similar story here as Cooper Brohl sent James Sofronas into a spin, and Cooper too was penalized for that infraction. That was all on the first handful of laps. After that, it did settle into a nice rhythm. James Sofronas with a nice comeback drive, able to get up alongside tech sport entry of Harrison and take that position away. James Lee took over from Casey Dennis, who started towards the back but drove to the front in about 10.5 minutes. James Lee took over from there and went the rest of the way. Hayner handed the car over in the pit stop with a wave to the camera to Jesse Lazar, who was able to drive them to another podium at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Race settled into a rhythm from there. At the front of the field, the pro class, the win and the championship to RWE. Congratulations to them, but other championships still to be determined. One more race to go here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway to cap off the inaugural season of McLaren Trophy.